let me start off by saying something. As we just had that presentation about my chief of staff, I remember before I got appointed to the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Chesapeake Bay and Water Resource Policy Committee, and I've always, grown up here in the area, fished and crabbed along Chesapeake Bay, thought it was great, but really didn't get involved in water quality and environmental issues. And when I was presented the opportunity, I remember I talked to Steve and I said, Steve, and I can't remember if it was, I think it was Council President Berliner at the time who had asked me if I wanted to do this. And I said, I'm just not sure if it really is for me. I care so much about education and I care about all these other things that are out there, and I'm just not a big environmentalist. That's what I said. And Steve just looked at me as he always does, and he smiled and he said, "Are you sure?" And that was always the sign for me that I needed to reconsider my thought and give it some more thought and go back. And I said, okay, so I'll think about it tonight. And I can't tell you how happy I am as I stand here before you today as a person who is so much more well-versed in our environment, who cares so much about water quality and about issues that are affecting not only our Chesapeake Bay, but that are also affecting climate change throughout our world. And it's made me a much better elected official, a better leader, and a better advocate for our world as a whole because of the knowledge that I've been able to receive. And so it's interesting in terms of how things work. And so on today, when we're honoring Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week, we also have to honor the people who devote themselves to this work, who continue to make sure that we're reaching out to folks in our community who may not be environmentalists, but who understand at the heart what is incredibly important to us, and that is the future of our planet, the future of our environment as a whole, and how we need to take care of this for future generations to come. That is at the core. And I thank Steve Goldstein for making sure that I remembered that. So, Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week, June 1st through the 9th. And it's a great opportunity for us to talk about the Chesapeake Bay and why it is important to us. I will tell you that through the great work that we've seen at both the federal, state, and local level, our Chesapeake Bay has become healthier. We've seen it in terms of our oyster population, our crab population. Things are working. It doesn't mean that we're out of the tunnel and there is nothing but sunshine and rainbows. We still have a lot of work to do. But I will tell you that the work that we're doing is actually making a difference. Partnering with folks like the EPA, and although they are challenged with the current administration not giving them the resources that they need to do even more work, the reality is that we at the local and state level can still do more to ensure that we are making the Bay a better place for its inhabitants. Clean air, water, agricultural, seafood production, enhanced property values, all of those things are benefits of having a healthy Chesapeake Bay. Now, I just visited out in Kemp Mill with some Arcola Elementary School students, a great park there with a program called BioBlitz. Let me tell you, our kids get it, they understand it, and they're ready to work. A young boy, and I won't forget this, who said that it was his first time ever being to a stream, said, "This is the kind of work I think I want to do when I grow up." One day out there, experiencing and seeing what's there, learning about it, has given him an idea about what he may want to do in the future. We need to do all of that and more to ensure that all of our kids get those kind of experiences and know just how important the work that's being done is. I'm going to turn to my colleague, Councilmember Hucker, who's going to talk a little bit about our guests who are behind me. I just want to tell you how important this is and how important the work that they do is. Because they are the crusaders, they are on the front lines, making it happen each and every day when it comes to community awareness, when it comes to rolling up their sleeves and their pants legs, and getting down and dirty and making sure that we're making a difference. all of that work together is going to help us to have a better world and a better future for our children and our children's children. So I just send a heartfelt thank you for all the dedication and work that you do each and every day to make our world a better place. Councilmember Hucker.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. For the record, I think you're a big environmentalist. Thank you for the proclamation, remembering how important the Chesapeake Bay is and serving as you have for so many years on the commission. You all know environmental threats are more urgent than ever, and we're getting not only no help from the federal government, we're actually seeing, unfortunately, the occupant of the White House exacerbating a lot of these threats and the assaults on the environment. So it's more important than ever that Maryland be a leader at addressing them, and that Montgomery County in particular be the leader within Maryland at addressing them. The Bay in particular, Councilmember Rice is right. Because of great legislation we've passed at the state and local level has been making progress. And we've seen that in the crab population and the oyster population. But the last couple years, it's taken it on the chin again. And in particular, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation downgraded the grade that they give biannually to the Bay to a D+, unfortunately. And the culprit, if you read the news reports, were record rainfall the last couple years. To be clear, it's not the rain that's the problem. In fact, the more fresh water we have coming into the Bay to balance out our rising sea levels, that's better for the Bay. It's the pollution that's in the rain that's the big problem. And we have addressed our stormwater runoff in many ways as a county government, and you've sat in hearings on our stormwater management policies, on our road salt use, and other strategies. And all of us have a role to play, whether it's minimizing our use of pesticides, cleaning up our pet waste, using less ice melt, using properly recycling and managing our food waste. All those strategies contribute to less stormwater. And there's county programs like Rainscapes I'd encourage everybody to take advantage of. I love my new pervious driveway that I've done with help from DEP, and everybody should look at the programs that we have available. But the Bay is facing incredible threats, and the new one we're all facing is, of course, the expansion of 495 and 270, which has severe stormwater implications as well as climate implications. So we need all the advocates here who are engaged every day in giving us a cleaner and healthier Bay to get involved in that current threat facing our environment as well. So with that, let me call up DEP Director Ortiz is here, and then we can hear from our guests as well.
Thank you, everybody, and good morning, council members. It's a pleasure again to join you in celebrating our most precious resource, the Chesapeake Bay. Although the federal government isn't quite stepping up the way that we would hope, we should feel good that Montgomery County is and has stepped up into the fold. There's a lot to be proud of in this county and in this department. Recently, we're closing out our Phase 1 stormwater permit, where we've actually achieved more impervious retrofits than any other county in the state of Maryland, more than 3,000 acres, and perhaps the most in the entire United States. And we have to keep in mind, although we're not getting quite to where we need to be, as Chairman Hucker said, we're making a ton of progress. This region was colonized in the 1600s, so for 400 years, this area has been used as an economic resource, but not necessarily as an environmental resource. At that time, the forests were clear-cut for farming. There was the industrial period, and of course our current period of suburban sprawl. All those things have had tremendous impacts on the water, and not for the better. And in fact, the Anacostia River, and we're upstream from the Anacostia River here in Montgomery County, used to be a mile wide, if you could imagine that, and 40 feet deep. It was actually the second most active port in the United States in the colonial period, believe it or not. But by the early 1800s, it had silted in because of farming sprawl at the time in the sediment. So although we have a ways to go, actually in the last 15 years, and even I would say in the last 7 to 10 years, we've seen more progress than in the previous 400 years. There's so much investment, not just in time, in money, but also in people's time and people's effort. It's reflected here in this council room and in the members here and their predecessors, and the activists and the advocates that are here. I'm very proud to stand up here with, who keep pushing and keeping us on task, and our staff, who are completely committed and have a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge and passion. So we should feel good that we're going in the right direction, although there's much more work to do. The last thought I have is that if you think about it, almost every major stream in the Chesapeake Bay is named after a Native American tribe. So the Potomac, the Anacostia, the Choptank, even the Chesapeake itself. It comes from vocabulary and the names of the tribes, and that's because the tribes lived and flourished on those branches. That's why it's named after them. And that's because the water is a place where people come together. They come together to find food, they come together to live, they come together to travel. And likewise, we're coming together again for the Bay. And I also just want to note, I see Jeannie is here, that Rock Creek was not named after a Native American tribe, but the others were. I just want to be clear about that. But anyway, I'm grateful to be here and grateful to the council for the time to recognize the work of our community and our movement. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Ortiz. So let me now just pass the microphone to our guests so they can introduce themselves and add any comment they want, starting with Parks Director Mike Riley.
Thank you, Councilmember Hucker. It's great to be here with so many advocates and allies for clean water in Montgomery County. We've made a lot of progress, but we got a long way to go. I was with Adam this weekend at a 65-acre watershed of Sligo Creek, where we partnered with the community, with private sector, and other government allies to apply a lot of innovative techniques, and they're working. It's very impressive, but we have a long way to go. Sligo Creek, decades ago, used to have 2 different types of fish. Now we're up over 20. So there's hope. We've got a long war to wage ahead of us, but we know how to do it, and I'm so glad to be a resident of Montgomery County, where we're leaders in this area.
I'm Kelly Swartout with the Chesapeake Bay Trust, and we are thrilled to be here because we are a partner of Montgomery County, and we give a lot of money, or we pass a lot of money away to the county, and we love it. And the most of our money comes from the sale of the Bay Plate, so we're able to use that money to partner with other counties and organizations, which is really great because it doubles our money, and we're able to give out more and more money to help restoration programs.
Thank you. I'm Jeannie Braha with the Rock Creek Conservancy, aptly named as descriptive, if not Native American in nature. And following on your comment about meeting a little boy who had never been to a stream before, yesterday I had the pleasure of meeting a gentleman who was visiting D.C. from California, had grown up here. He recently retired from 40 years of service as a civil engineer. He helped develop the stormwater management model, which underlies a lot of the policy that Montgomery County has been such a leader on. He told me that when he was 6, he was playing in Rock Creek, and his mom told him, "Get out of there, it has water pollution." And he said, "What is water pollution?" And thus began his career leading us here. So we're really thrilled to be able to connect people in the Rock Creek watershed to these amazing places and resources and help them lead in their own ways.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Keith Brooks. I'm the co-chair of the Water Quality Advisory Group, and we're an 18-member group which is supported by both DEP and the council and the executive, and we'd like to thank you for your continued support.
Hello, Sarah Robinson, Little Falls Watershed Alliance. We're a very small watershed, southwest Montgomery County, a little of DC, and we're pleased to partner with lots of others here today working for water quality and stormwater management, particularly in development in our area.
Hello, I'm Joyce Briner with Poolsville Green, and we try to educate the community on sustainable living practices. And one of the very first things we did as an organization was talk about rainscapes and try to bring information that the county has to our community. We're very happy to do that, and we're very pleased and thrilled that Montgomery County is a leader in that area and has so much information to provide.
Hi, I'm Eliza Cava. I'm the Director of Conservation with Audubon Naturalist Society, which has been serving the DC region for 122 years with a focus on protecting natural spaces and water quality for almost the entire time. And I'm also Vice Chair of the Stormwater Partners Network of Montgomery County, of which many of the organizations here are key members. And we work together to support and encourage and occasionally really push the county to set its sights high on stormwater management and continue to be the leader in the state that it's been for a long time. And we thank all of you for your efforts.
Hi, I'm Ben Alexandro. I'm the Water Program Director for the Maryland League of Conservation Voters, and we're the political voice for the environment, working on the state and local level, and then also acting as the state lead for the Choose Clean Water Coalition, which is a coalition of over 230 different nonprofits all throughout the Chesapeake Bay, Mid-Atlantic region, working on water quality, et cetera. And this issue of the urban sprawl and the pollution coming from it is one of the biggest ones we need to tackle here in Maryland. So I'm really excited to just continue to be able to work with everyone here in the room to make sure that we can get that done.
Thank you, Ben.
Hi, I'm Debbie Sarabia, and I'm with the Seneca Creek Watershed Partners. I'm the president, and we are a relatively new organization. We are located in the far west, northwest of the county. Great Seneca, Little Seneca, and Dry Seneca Creeks watersheds. Very large watershed. We have some of the most pristine waters and some of the most degraded waters. So we're looking forward to everybody who can partner with us and help keep things going towards health. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ken Bauer. I'm with the Wasp Branch Watershed Alliance and also the Vice President of the West Montgomery County Citizens Association. A group of us just led a tour of the Wasp Branch watershed in the western part of the county, and the importance of that watershed is that that water feeds directly into the intake to the River Road water filtration plant. And I think it was an eye-opener to a lot of people as far as the scope of the effort that's going to take to clean up that watershed and keep our drinking water up to snuff. It's going to take work from the public sector, the private sector, private homeowners, and also work across jurisdictions. City of Rockville has part of the Watts Branch watershed, and we're also going to have cooperation between our within the county, our various departments, parks, DOT, and Department of Environmental Protection, all working together to make this happen. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Paul Krastowski, the Friends of Sligo Creek. We're also not named after a Native American tribe, but we were named by immigrants to this country. And any day you can walk along the Sligo Creek Trail and hear dozens of non-English languages being spoken. We still serve the immigrant communities of this county and of the Washington, D.C. area. So I just invite all of you to join us in one of our 2 annual Sweep the Creek efforts. If you're all looking for an opportunity to roll up your sleeves and your boots and remove pollution from the creek, please do come out and join us. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm Adam Roberts with Bethesda Green, and as I listen to all these comments, I think the one word that keeps jumping out at me is partnership. And we often hear about public-private partnerships, and in this case, we often have a public-public partnership, where on the one hand, the council, on behalf of the government of Montgomery County, is doing important things to protect vital watersheds. But I think we also have, as members of the public, a personal responsibility to do what we can to make similar contributions to protect the environment, especially, as Adam pointed out, when you have, over time, a changing landscape. And so Bethesda Green is really focused on doing what we can to create what we call a sustainable urban ecosystem, where we recognize the important needs of a growing human population, but know that we can each take individual responsibility to try and positively rather than negatively affect the ecosystem in which we live. So things like conservation, landscaping, and stormwater management we think is really important, that we do all that we can to make a positive difference, just as the council is doing here today. And I think this proclamation in and of itself will send a message that this is an important thing for everyone to do, and we thank the council for taking that step. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ling Tan, and I'm with Sierra Club Maryland, and I'm here to represent Safe Grow Montgomery. We're a coalition of over 50 organizations and local businesses, and we work on the pesticide issue, just raising awareness about that, pushing the county to be leaders and the parks to be leaders on that issue. We realize that a lot of residents are looking for our county to lead them, and so we are here pushing them. And I want to point out the recent Maryland Special Court of Appeals ruling that just ruled that upheld that Montgomery County can protect its residents and its property and the county from pesticide exposure, and especially do its work on pesticides to protect the Chesapeake Bay. So that was a huge win, and we'll be following that closely. So I just want to encourage the parks and the county to just be leaders on this issue. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to all of the advocates. I'm just going to put in a little plug because we continue to do work each and every day. There's a bill that's before your committee, Councilmember Hucker, a little Craig Rice bill dealing with polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. Yes, exactly. It's lost in your drawer. All right. Well, we'll make sure that we have somebody find that and get that out. It really is one in which we continue to have to do work. And it's what each of you have continued to say. If we want to make progress and turn back the tide in terms of some of the damage that we've seen over the hundreds of years where we have not had sustainable practices, we've got to do more. And so it really is a teamwork effort in making sure that that happens. So teamwork, let's read this proclamation, Councilmember Hucker. Whereas the Chesapeake Bay Estuary, the largest in North America and the third largest in the world, spans across 6 states, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, and the District of Columbia, serving as a vital economic, recreational, and environmental resource to the approximately 18 million people who live within its watershed and those who visit the region. And
whereas in the mid-1970s, the Bay was targeted as the first estuary in the nation to receive congressional support for restoration and protection, and has since remained a federal, state, and local priority, prompting a region-wide approach, including the inaugural 1983 Chesapeake Bay Agreement between Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And
whereas all water that travels or stems from Montgomery County flows into the Bay, incredibly important, including 8 major watersheds, 150 smaller watersheds, and over 1,500 streams. Thus, the resources dedicated locally have a significant impact on the health of the Bay and subsequent economic effects. And
whereas in December 2018, Montgomery County achieved its goal of providing additional stormwater management on impervious acres equal to 20%, or 3,778 acres, of the county area not currently managed, and we have removed a major source of nitrogen and phosphorus pollutants to the Bay by upgrading our wastewater treatment plants. And
whereas Montgomery County, among other local jurisdictions and organizations, has commemorated the first week of June as Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week with outreach, events, and education programming designed to mark the progress and future work needed to restore our Chesapeake Bay. Now, therefore, do we. Mark Elrich is the county executive, Nancy Navarro is our county council president, Craig Rice and Tom Hucker as council members, hereby proclaim June 1st through 9th, 2019 as Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week in Montgomery County. We encourage all residents to recognize the importance of this week and actively engage in activities that will help preserve and sustain our county's watersheds and the Chesapeake Bay. Signed this 11th day of June in the year 2019. Mr. Ortiz. Thank you, sir.
congratulations.